Well, hello everyone. My name is Rick Passek, the FlyFish Fanatic, and welcome to my tying bench. Today, I'm going to continue on with my beginner's tying series. I'm going to go a little bit more in depth in materials. Today, the material will be Marabou. This is one material that is used a lot, especially in lakes. Rivers for steelhead, salmon, that kind of stuff. Don't use a lot of Marabou for my nymphs and things like that in the rivers, but I do, but not as much. So without playing around, let's get into it. So let's go over again. Just a junky hook, mustad, whatever the heck this is, size 4x long streamer hook that I got at a garage sale. So just because I'm junking it, right? So. Guys, just put on some, in this case, a little bit of nano silk, just to put it on, just to show you guys what kind of things you can do with Marabou. It's one of those products I used to use a ton. I still use it a lot, but not quite as much as I used to. The one that I've been using lately that I found over the years, I've bought Dragonfly, I've bought Superfly, I've bought Montana Fly Company, I think was another one. There's so many different brands out there of Marabou, but the one that I found that I like the best for the type of tying I do is this one, the Hens Marabou. The quality of the Marabou itself is just that much better. But I'll show you what I mean as well as I go here. But so for today, I'm just going to pull out one feather. Okay, so it's just one feather. Now, a lot of people, I mean, depending on the size of flies you're going to tie, you can just take this whole feather and just stroke it back and boom, there's your tail, right? But I don't like doing that because I don't like how the core reacts, right? So if I was going to do that, I would probably take the tip and bust the tip out like that and then lay that back, and it'll move better that way if I'm going to use that whole bit, right? But normally, I mean, unless I'm tying the large flies, I don't need that much. So what I do is I'll grab onto the core, the tip up here, okay, and then I'll just stroke all this material down just so that way it comes out at a 90-degree angle. And then what I do is I grab it with my fingers and I tear it off, and then I fold it down on top of it, and then I'll grab that package and I'll tear it off. Hopefully you guys can see that, yeah, and fold it over, and then I'll tear it off. I'm tearing it off the center stem and fold it over, and I'll do one more package. So tear it off, fold it over, and then I just grab all that stuff that I've torn off, and there's my little package. And you see how well that moves? Like lots of movement to it, right? So then what I'll do is I'll just get it all lined up, and I'll figure out the length I want, length of the body, whatever. In this case, I'm not going to worry about that, but I'll figure out the length I want. I'll grab it by the point. I'll cut off my waist, okay? And then let's just say I'll come to here, put it down, a loose-ish wrap, another loose-ish wrap, and then I'll tighten down. And then usually what I'll do is I'll kind of have it leaning to my side. If I leave it on, every time I pull around, see how it rolls? It kind of wants to roll around. So I don't want that in this case because I'm just putting a tail on. So I'll hold it to my side more. I'll turn this. I'll show you what I mean. I hold it to my side more like that. And then as I do it, it'll roll on top. Right? And then once I get back to where I want to be, with my tails, I always lift the tail up, go behind the tail, and then go back over, and then back under the tail, and then back over. What that does is it'll help hold the tail up. So it'll hold the tail up, and it'll help it from not doing this fouling when you're casting. Okay? So that'll just hold that up. So now you see how I've got and I would normally, when I tie my leeches and stuff, I'll do this the whole body length, and that way you've got a standard thickness, right? So that's putting on a tail. Okay, now I can go and put on my flash, do whatever I want to do, right? I can now go ahead and put dubbing on for making a leech, that kind of stuff. But what I want to show you next is how you can wrap hackle. Okay, now this type of hackle with this thicker stem is not good for what I want to do next. Okay, so that's why I go for this strung marabou. So let's just go with this red here. I'm pretty sure this is an old Superfly one, but I'm just going to grab one feather, pull it off of the package here. Just going to get rid of some of the garbage that's on the bottom, but there's my feather. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to expose the tip on this one. So now I'm going to use this as a hackle, right? So there's, like I said, there's different ways of doing it. So now I can just expose my tip, tie that on. Again, I'm not too worried about what it looks like. It's just for demonstration. And then I'll take my hackle pliers and I'll grab my stem. And now I just stroke back just like I'm doing a hackle, right? I'll move my thread out of the way. And then just make sure that you're trying to get as many of the fibers that are being trapped. Just try to pull them out every time you come around. And then just like touching wraps or maybe a little bit open, just come around. Don't worry about this here. Like you see, it looks like it's knotting up a bit. Don't have to worry too much about that. And if it gets really bad, I would, but again, just wrap it all, stroke it back, wrap it forward, stroke it back as much as you can. You'll see in a minute why I'm not overly concerned, but so just stroke it back, stroke it back, stroke it back. And now when I get to my stem, I'll just go in with my thread and I'll tie that off, that stem, let it go. Oh, actually in this case, I'll just tie the stem right down, just because I want to. Come back, and now I'll take my brush, and you can see that it's kind of looks like it's all twisted up, and actually I'll focus that for you, and you can see it's kind of twisted up and stuff. But if I go back and get it back into focus for you and just stroke this a bit, all that material will come out and will lay back really nicely. So that's another way. I like doing all marabou leeches like this, for especially like bigger ones, right? So, and there you go. So there's another way of using marabou. And now another way I like using marabou is, especially when I'm doing like my little marabou jigs and my little marabou leeches, my little mini ones that I use to put under a strike indicator, is this way. So I'll take, I'm going to find a nice bright, this is a bright orange. This is that dragonfly one that I had out earlier. Again, it's not the best quality, but that's for what I'm doing, it's okay. So that's that stem is a little thick on that one. You want one that's got a fairly, for what I'm going to do now, you want one that's got a fairly thin stem. So I'll have to try to see if I can find one that's got, that one's not too bad right there. It's not the best, but this isn't the best quality dub. Well, it's not even close to the best quality marabou. But so yeah, so this one's got it starts getting a little bit of a thicker stem about here, so it'll be okay for what I do. So what I can do here is I can tie this in as a tail, let's say. Let's just say I don't have anything there. So what I'll do is I'll actually stroke all this material back to where I want to tie it. Let's say that's the tail. So I'll just put it there. And then I'll just, and there's my tail, okay? Let's just say that's my tail. Then I lift this up, come forward, and then as a bundle, I will just wrap this forward as an entire bundle, right? And let's go one more, and then I'll tie that off. Nip off my marabou there in the front. And then any of these longer ones that have come out like that, I can just nip off. If I can leave them on too. I mean, it's not a huge deal. They'll just in the water, they'll just lay back. But just for looks. Huh. So there's another way of doing a body, right? With Marabou, it ends up giving you that kind of that fuzzy kind of look, right? I'm gonna turn down the light here. I think this might be kind of hindering. Yeah, that's better. So you see what I mean there. You've got that, you get a kind of a fuzzy look. So, but that's what I do when I tie my really small little, like size 12, 14 little, either on a jig hook or on a scud hook with a little black bead. I put a little black tail on like this, put a little bit of flash in, and then I wrap the black hackle forward and done. And that's it. And sometimes I'll put a silver wire or something in as a rib as well, but that's it. And man, under an indicator, that is a killer. So, and it's super simple, right? So, but like I said, it's there's several different ways. I mean, you can use the other way you can do with Marabou. I'll show you one more. And I'll just there's again many other ways as well, but these are just a few that I've used a lot. I've seen other people use a lot, and that I know work really well to give you different looks, right? So I'm just gonna get rid of that. Put another one of those Yunky hooks on. Okay, and now this time I'm gonna grab my material clip, and I'm gonna get let's just go with this piece here. And I'm just gonna go with my material clip and grab my Marabou, cut it off of the stem from the center. I don't know, yeah, you should be able to see that. So I will hold it like that. And I just cut it off the stem. So now I got my little barbules sticking out. Start my thread. Cut that off. Do a dubbing loop. Come back forward. A dubbing spinner. Put it in to my line. Now, just so you guys can see, for those that don't know, so I've got it's made a loop, right? That's what it's done. It's made a loop, and my dubbing spinner just goes in like this in the loop. And that way, I've got both sides, right? Now, I take my ends of my Marabou. I'll just catch them into my dubbing loop. Give this a spin. Let it do its thing. Just catches all that Marabou in. Just brush it out a bit, and then once it gets going, just stroke the material back. Stroke the material back. Now you don't have to have it stroked back. If you want it scruffy, if you want it pointing out and stuff, just tie it on. But I'm in the way I'm doing it. I want to tie it leech style. I want it hanging back. So there we go. Just tie that dubbing loop off. Cut it off, and then you can take your brush and brush your material back, and there you go. There's another way. That way you've got no stem involved, right? It's just the movable, the really soft fibers that move really well, right? And they'll slick back really nicely too, right, when that gets wet. So yeah, so that's just a few options on how to use Marabou. Marabou's, like I said, it's a very good material. Actually, there's one last one I can show you, and it's very similar to what we just did, but it is just get my thread, I wax it, and I'll actually just take the Marabou and I'll just rip it right off, and I'll rip pieces and I'll just dub it, and rip pieces and I'll just dub it, right? A lot of time my leftover dubbing, Marabou that I've got, like from ends and cutoffs, I'll use as dubbing like this. And then, yeah, you can just get it, once it gets a grip, just give it a twist, a twist, a twist. And there you go. Now you've got a bit of a dub body, right? So, and you can rough that up a bit if you want with a little bit of Velcro, just to get it more fluffy. And there you've got just a straight dubbed body. Okay. Almost got too much light here. So. But yeah, you see what I'm saying there. So now I've gone from a Yeah, there you go, a little bit better. A little bit of a dubbed body, right? So, yeah, Marabou is one of those materials you can use in a lot of different ways. I use it for collars, I use it for hackle, I use it for tails, I use it for dubbing, I put it into dubbing loops, you know, many different things. So, alrighty. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope that helped you guys out a little bit. Like I said, it's my beginner tying series. And I'll be continuing to put up one every Wednesday for the probably next month or so, depending on how many different lessons I can think of that would that'll help you guys. I don't want to just do it because I can do it. I want to do it because I want you guys, you know, I want to be able to help especially those beginners out that may not know. Oh, okay, well, I've picked this up now. I've been told to use it as a tail and a leech, but what else can I use it for? Well, here you go. So, okay. Well, if you've subscribed, thank you. If you have not, please consider doing so. And once we hit 2,000 subscribers, which isn't too far away, I'm going to have a fairly decent package to give away, fly line, materials, that kind of stuff. So, alrighty. So pass the word out, and yeah, and we'll see you guys on the next time video. Tie lines.